back down at Caravan Storage today, freezing cold, and I like a bit of a chill, so I thought I'd do something outside today. We're gonna replace our door stay because we've got the old rubbish metal kind, and I want to try and replace it for one of these new plastic bits of kit which look better, work better and function better. So let's crack on with that. Right, this is the outside part that we're going to be changing. 2 screws come out, a little bit of a tap, and hopefully this little bit of kit should come off. Right, so we're going to start by taking this outside part off. 2 little self-tapping screws, Phillips screws, and behind that we have the rubber part, a lot of sealant and a lot of dirt, and some grease which has obviously been put over there to maintain it over the years. So we'll get all this rubbish off, give it a good clean up, and we'll have a look at getting the new part. Right, so let's take this bit off the door. It's obviously been on here from day one because it's so dirty, and this should be clamped. It should clamp the door in between this bit and the inner bit. Should clamp the door, and that's what holds it all on. Let's have a look. Internal part comes out. This has got loads of sealant around it, so have a little bit of. That's really on there. There she is. As you can see, these things normally have, this plastic comes out to here. They're not normally in such poor condition, but it's quite old, so you know, I think the new one was about a tenner. You know, pocket money to make something that looks so rubbish, make it look so good. Give it a refresh. So right, let's have a look at our new bits. Let's clean this bit up and then have a look at our new bits. This is the outside bit that's going to be going into here. Now, not that you're going to get any water in there because it's quite a nice flush seal, but just to be on the safe side, I've got myself a little bit of white silicone, which I'm just going to smear. Literally a tiny, tiny little bead just round the side, just for them. Just to make sure it's got a nice seal on it. Effectively, let's just screw down, is clamp it, clamp the door in between it. That's all we do, that's all it does. Very straightforward. Simple. Give that some of that. Stick a screw in. I think these are the right screws that came with it. I have a lot of screws. And I'll soon find out, because if it ain't the right screw, it's going to come straight out the other side. It's a long screw. No one likes one that's too short. It's always got to be of good length. That's what I've heard, Dan. Right.
It's looking good, mate. It's looking good.
Pinch it up. Don't want to over tighten these because this metal screw going into plastic thread, so I'm not really that you're going to be strangling it, but it needs to be pinched up so it's tight, clamped in there. You want it to clamp it and not just flap about in the breeze, but if you do it too tight, you're going to end up with problems. And you don't want problems. That's a bit twisted, so I'm just going to free that up a bit. There we go, that's straight, right. Check before we clamp it right up.
My friend.
Right. So, that's the screws pinched up. The door clamped nice and firmly in between. This is all working nice, we've got the right function going now. That's what we want. As you can see, we've got a bit of excess of our splodge silicone around the door. Little bit of a wipe just to get all the excess off. Give it a good rub with a cloth just to make sure it gets into that tiny, tiny little void between the bracket and the door. But like I say, you ain't going to get no water getting in now. I'm only putting a bit of silicone on it because I like to go a bit over the top. Wipe it around with my cloth. Lovely job. That looks nice. And if we have a look in the hole, you can see exactly what it's doing in the hole. As you can see, this is a simple function, it's very straightforward. Literally pull this little lever inside that you saw, pulls that pin back, unlatches your door. Now we've got the tricky part of fixing the other part to the side of the van. Now, as you can see, our old holes didn't really line up with this new bit of kit. So what I've done is used one of the old holes. I've trimmed that other one off, the old one, because it had the metal protruding. Just cleaned it out a bit with a chisel, being obviously really careful so I don't run up the side and give myself a big scratch. I'm just going to put a little bit of splodge in there. Again, not that it's going to make any, not that you're going to get any floods of water going through there, but that's the old hole filled up. So I've got me one I was originally using, I've left that one. Now I've just made my own. Ideally it would have been drilled, but seeing as these screws are self-tappers, it was just a basic case of lining it up, giving it a tap with the old knocking stick and screwing it in. So what I'll do with this one is put, again, just another little bead of sealant around it. I've noticed on this one that there's a small hole there. I've no idea why, because I didn't get any instructions of any kind with this one. So I don't know if it's to let moisture drip out, a little bit of water, whatever, I don't know. But I'm going to put it at the bottom, because obviously if it's at the top, I don't want any water going into it. So if I grab another little bead of silicone, just around that, making a mess. Line it up with my holes, just start them off. And then what will happen in a minute, once we clamp this up, all the nice little bead of silicone we put on it will squidge out a little bit, which is good, because if it's squidging, it means it's getting rid of any tiny little gaps. And the main thing we don't want in caravans when we're putting new bits and bobs on, especially on the outside, is gaps. Don't want gaps, because what gets into gaps?
Money.
Water.
Oh, right.
Well, it ends up costing loads of money, but a bit of water in there is not what we need, not what we want. So that's pinched up a little bit. A bit more on that side.
Do you have many gaps, Dad?
I've had a few. You know, a few gaps I've had to sort out over time. This is tight. That's really tight, that. But tight is good. It's nice to be tight.
That's because it won't come off.
Exactly,
surely.
It won't come off.
Yeah.
Nice and tight. There we go. Pinched. Pinched again. Right, so we're all pinched up. Yeah. Latches in like a treat. That door ain't going anywhere. That's latched back. It's a nice little pull of the lever. Done. Now what we do need to do is give this a little clean, because we've got a little bit of leftover silicone around it. So we get the magic wipes, twist it a bit, get it round that gap. And again, what we're doing here is just cleaning off the excess silicone, but also giving it a little bit of a push at the same time. Some people say, oh, don't use industrial wipes when you're using that silicone and stuff, because the industrial wipes takes the silicone off, or it ruins the silicone, etc. Done it for years, never done any harm to my silicone and joints. And if there's one thing I don't get once I've done a job, it's leaks, because no one likes the leak. That's that nice and clean. Once that's gone off, give it another proper clean. But as you can see, job done. Door latch changed. That's not going anywhere. Much better than that old rubbishy metal thing, which was that bit. And the other bit's gone for a walk
Down
because
there.
I probably chucked it somewhere. There it is. Oh. This old thing, out with the old rusty rubbish. As you can see, I didn't really show you how that worked, but I'm sure most of you know how it does. See, it's back, pin slams into it, holds it back, and you push this in to release it. Loads of, you know, hard to maintain. The plastic bits go brittle and break off everything. So out with the old junk, in with the new. Jobs are good.